His former GM did him no favors. Instead of focusing on offensive line, he went and got old, past their prime skill players. Referring to the news that Andrew Luck has announced his retirement. His new GM has tried to correct this course, but his body had already been bludgeoned. Sad. Great talent in Andrew Luck. Moral of the story: if you take a quarterback in round 1, especially the first pick, draft offensive line in early rounds like crazy as much as you can, and sign free agent offensive linemen that are decent as well. In modern day NFL, if you have a potential great quarterback in what was Andrew Luck, draft offensive line first, fast and furious. Defense second, and skill offensive players third. The quarterback, if great, will make them better, theoretically. Pay the big guys and the rest will look after itself. And after his latest setback, there was some type of I guess ankle ailment in Andrew Luck. I guess that he suffered, and I guess it was OTAs, and he's been considering apparently like retiring for the last 2 weeks, and he announced his retirement, and it kind of came out while the game was still being played, the preseason game, and the Colts were in. It came out that he was announcing his retirement while the game was still going on with the Colts, and the fans getting the news from breaking news everywhere. Everyone picked it up. They're in the stands, and then they start booing Andrew Luck. Now, could have Andrew Luck... See, listen, Andrew Luck, he... And I can't relate to being an athlete like Andrew Luck. All the injury that he has suffered, a constant, and it's constant, traumatic injuries, the rehab, watching the tape, the training, getting your body back in shape. It's for the past couple of years, this has been an everyday thing. Rehab, training, tape, film for Andrew Luck, day in and day out. And an athlete like that, I'm sure adrenaline rushing, trying to get back into shape, trying to get back on the field, is doing this constantly, day in and day out, at 120% each day. And although his body might be healed, and you might be saying an ankle injury is really not that huge, why is he retiring? It's not so much the physical injuries. I think what happens as well is mentally. It takes a lot out of you mentally. And he just couldn't take it anymore mentally, going through yet another rehab, potential surgery. You're trying to get him back in shape, doing that 120% every day, every hour of the day. And he was just mentally spent. Mentally spent. But for a team a fan base to be booing Andrew Luck, okay, played through broken ribs, a lacerated kidney, and a bum shoulder just for the Colt fans' entertainment, and they repay him by booing him and talking how much of a baby he is. This was already all over social media. He even said that he's been in constant pain for 4 straight years. So, makes you wonder, how fully is he fully healed, even from the last major injury that he came from? So go ahead and mouth someone, because your team may not be a playoff contender anymore, which they are not. Their odds have drastically dropped now with Jacoby Brissett as said to be the quarterback. What do the Colts do? Do they call up Tony Romo's camp, get him out of retirement? Do they try to trade Eli Manning? Just throwing things out there. You sure loved Andrew Luck when he took your team from 2-14 to 3 straight playoff appearances. Over one of the few quarterbacks, I believe the combination is over 20,000 yards and over 100 touchdowns in his first 6 seasons. I believe that's the stat that I read, something along those regards. So, a quarterback that could have been a Hall of Famer. At this point, I'm gonna tell you that I think that because this is more mental, I think that he might take a few years off. Just to get mentally back in health. And don't be surprised if you see him 2 years from now. I don't think it's, a retirement where he no longer wanted to be a quarterback. I think it's mentally, and I still think that he loves the game and wants to compete. It's just the injuries maybe got to him. Take it a few years where you're fully healthy, you're not going through the rehab and everyday rigorous of 120%. And I think that he might be back. My total respect for him for being a stand-up man, for admitting defeat and walking away gracefully instead of putting on a false image. Other players that have, you think of Andrew Luck, other players that have retired surprisingly. Jim Brown, 29, led NFL rush yards and rush touchdowns in final season. Barry Sanders at age 31, second in NFL in all-time rush yards at the time of retirement, 15,269. Andrew Luck, 29, most pass yards and pass TDs in final season, which is the stat I gave you. And Calvin Johnson, 12-14 reception yards, 9 reception touchdowns in final season. Wow, what could have been for Andrew Luck? I still think you might see him back. I definitely think you might see him back. But if not, he could have been one of going down as one of the greatest, if not for injury. Hope all is well.